We said to each other what happened to our dreams. Like we always talked about traveling, and then we just decided to quit our jobs. We were renting a house. We don't have a mortgage, no kids. There was nothing really holding us back. So we thought, okay, we'll just give up everything, our jobs, and find ways to get rid of our stuff and buy a bike and go.
Later on, we decided we really want to sleep in a campsite, but it's already really late. So let's go find camp spots. And we found some woods where we camped. And then in that night, not far from us, they were shooting the AK-47s, just shooting around. And we were like, okay. Overall, in Iran, it was more of meeting the local people and staying with them. And that was really interesting because we didn't really do that in other countries. But the nice thing about Greece is that you have all these just small beaches everywhere. You go around the corner and you have a beach where nobody is and you can just camp there. So that was really nice, and all these beautiful spots. It was really nice because it's pretty touristy. There were a lot of people, but because you have your own bike and you can go wherever you want. A lot of buses with tourists go to one place and to another place, but there is in between, there are a lot of just places where nobody is. So you can explore and have the feeling that there's no tourists at all, where you know that it's a really touristy place. So that was really nice.
Welcome to the Winging It Travel podcast with me, James Hammond, where every Monday I'll be joined by guests to talk about their travel stories, travel tips, backpacking advice, and so much more. Right now, I'm taking the podcast on the road travelling with me. So tune in every week for short form episodes detailing all my travels alongside my Monday guest episode. Are you a backpacker, traveller, gap year student, or simply someone who loves to travel? Then this is the podcast for you. This is a casual, informative podcast designed for you to inspire you to travel. There'll be stories to tell, tips to share, and experiences to inspire. Welcome to the show. Let's get into the episode. Hello and welcome to this week's episode where I'm joined by Nina and Q, who are also known as Travelling by Pedaling. These guys have been biking and hiking around the world since 2021, and we're here today to talk about that said trip. We have a mutual friend by the name of Lawrence, who I met in Nepal, and he recommended these guys to come on the podcast, which is great. I'm very excited about this. So welcome to the show, guys. How are you doing?
Hi, yeah. We are good?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries. Where in the world are you right now?
We're currently in Hobart, Tasmania. So it's an island on the southeast coast of Australia.
And what is the weather like there now?
A bit chilly. So it's our first winter in 2 years' time. But it's a mild winter. It hasn't really dropped below zero. But yeah, it's getting a little bit used to. We didn't really have clothing for this. Luckily, we're visiting family. So my brother borrowed us some jumpers and beanies to wear. So we're good to go.
That was the biggest challenge of our trip this year. It was the weather, because we started in Europe in the winter. So when we got past March, I had all this like cold weather clothing that I was carrying around but don't need anymore. It's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Takes up a lot of space as well.
Yeah.
Those are the big clothing.
Yeah. But I guess if you travel the world over a year in different parts of the world, you got to have different parts of clothing, right? For each season, I guess.
Yes, the plan was to be on the road for 2 years. And then we thought we would definitely hit every season, and we wanted to go into high altitude as well, like mountain ranges. So we had to be ready for anything that would come our way. So we also have like some good gear. But we are lucky enough that we left some of the gear in Bangkok.
Oh.
We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Okay, let's start with your pedaling through Europe. I want to hear about that part of the trip. First of all, where are you both from? And delving into your history, did you both have an interest in travel from an early stage, like growing up?
We are both from the Netherlands, and when I was younger, you as well. But for me, we went camping every year, and in the beginning we always went to France. A lot of Dutchies go to France. And then later on, we tried to mix it up and every year go to another country. But it was still like holidays. I think traveling and holidays are two different things. Where in holidays you stay mostly on one place, maybe change it up for a week or so, and then just relax and do some sightseeing, but mostly relax. So traveling started for me a bit later on. When I was 18, I went backpacking through Southeast Asia for 3 months. And later on, after the studies, I went to Peru. And there, for me, the love of hiking started. And I picked it up and tried to do it more often.
And for me, it's like a similar thing. Like back in the day on holiday, we used to go camping in France. When I got a little bit older, my mom said no more camping. We were going to stay in mobile homes, a little bit more comfort. So I gave up on the tent, and only till we met, like we went on holidays together. That's when we started camping again, just in the tent. And for me, I think the traveling bug took place when I was 15. I was playing cricket for the Dutch youth teams, and we made this really cool journey to Kenya. And it was the first time to be exposed to, just Africa, or like a different continent at all. And it was so fascinating to see. So from that moment in time, I was like, really, okay, this is so interesting. And I think from that moment I was just hooked. But for me, traveling also started later. Maybe I could say this is my first real travel. Like I've been to different places, but it was all through sports and just holidays with the family. And this is the first time that I really could roam freely and do whatever I want and not being stuck with like programs or anything. So it was quite liberating and very, really enjoyable way. You just travel or see the world.
I'll tell you what, sports is a great way to get involved and travel, because I wasn't expecting you to say cricket, because I love cricket as well, obviously.
It's not very common in the Netherlands.
No, it's quite unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do have a good one-day team, Holland. They're competitive, right? They can challenge on a day. Yeah.
There's a World Cup qualifier going on right now, and they're playing West Indies tonight, which is a very massive game.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we'll be missing out on that because we're gonna go camping later today. But I will be following that as much as possible. This is for qualifying for the World Cup this year. Yeah, I think it's this year.
Yeah.
They do have a very good team, but there's not a lot of Dutchies in the team. So
okay.
I was part of the group for like probably 5 years, and then we have a selection of maybe 18 people, and 4 or 5 of them are Dutch, and the other ones are South African, Australian, Kiwi, British with like Dutch heritage,
right.
And they are eligible to play for the Dutch team. So it's quite competitive to get in the team, but it's also good for Dutch cricket because it gets taken to a different level. And you also get coaches from abroad, and they come and play in the regular competition in the Netherlands, which also makes the level just go up. So I think it's good for Dutch cricket.
Yeah, and if you're a kid playing cricket, they normally, if you're quite a good cricket club, they do like an exchange, don't they? Go and tour normally a country that's quite exotic and good weather.
Yes. Yeah, I've been to various of countries. So to Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Canada, Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand, like the faraway countries I've been to through cricket. Also the UAE. I might be missing something.
And then every year to Rome.
Yeah, and I play for a club in Rome as well, which they fly me in every year.
Oh, wow.
Which is nice. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So it gets me to a lot of places. I'm very grateful for that, but also very happy now that I've actually gave up cricket for the last 2 years to do this travel, and really like the liberal way, or just the freedom of going anywhere. Because there was also a moment in time where we were in Colombo in Sri Lanka, and we were just there for a 3-week training camp and also playing some games. And after 2 weeks, I got a little depressed, but a little bit down, because I'm in such a beautiful country, but the only thing I see is my hotel room and the training ground and the gym. Yeah. And that's it. And we weren't really allowed to go and roam and explore places by ourselves. So then it's like, I'm just in such a beautiful place, but it's just business as usual. And that made me feel like, oh, come on, let me go. I want to explore. So that's the traveler in me.
Yeah, I think as a job, amazing cricket, but yeah, it probably does restrict you if you're a cricketer, that you just can't go out and travel the country that you're in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They probably have like 1 or 2 days, don't they? But that's it. So I think you made the right decision because cricket is quite a long game, isn't it? Even if you have 1 day game, it's all day. And then if you have like a test match, just 5 days, it's quite long. It's a commitment.
Yes. So the Netherlands, we don't have touch status, but we play like 4 days It's called the I Cup, and that was my specialty. But it's very hard, especially in the Netherlands, to say like, hey, I'm going on a trip for cricket. I'm going to play a 4-day game, and then come back. What's the result? Yeah, we drew.
Yeah.
To try to explain that to Dutchies, that is quite fun.
Try explain it to Americans; they'd lose their shit.
That's probably even worse.
Enough talk about cricket because I'll be here all day.
Yeah.
Let's go to 2021. You're planning a trip to go travelling. So what was in your mind in that year? Because obviously COVID was still quite new or raw at that point. So what were you thinking in terms of a trip?
Yeah, everything was a bit like we couldn't really plan because of COVID.
Yeah.
So we had an idea, and we were thinking because we chose for the bike, because we went bikepacking. We thought we have all the freedom. We can always just go a totally different way to if it's not possible, if there are closures or something.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of planning, we were a bit lucky. My mom is a bikepacker as well. She goes bikepacking every year on her own, and she knows a lot about making routes and the stuff you need. So I think I could just talk with her about everything and just learn a lot. So I learned to make the routes with her, and I had 2 different kinds of apps I could get from her because she paid for it. And there in these 2 apps I worked planning and reading the routes. And yeah, I have to say, in terms of planning, everyone was always saying like, don't you have a plan? But how can you go without? I mean, everyone gets a bit like anxious.
Yeah.
But for us, it was liberating to not really have a plan and just go.
Also, at the start, a little bit stressful.
Yeah.
Whereas lucky Nina was actually planning to do the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail in the USA, like the long distance hike.
Yeah.
And we always had the idea when we met in university, and in the first year we met and we started dating, we always talked about traveling, and like we're in the same year, so it's like, okay, after we finish, the plan was to go to America and buy a van and travel through America.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we grew as people or changed as people, so did the plans changed, and I got a little bit delayed because of cricket in university. So Nina finished before me. Then she went to Peru and travel. I was still traveling through cricket, and then as soon as I was ending up my studies, we were both just rolled into work. And then after a couple of years, we both work in healthcare, so it was quite tough years in COVID time. So I worked in elderly care, so a lot of deaf people as well, and just pretty tough years. And then it's like, okay, we said to each other, what happened to our dreams? Like we always talked about the traveling, and then we just decided to quit our jobs. We were renting a house. We don't have a mortgage, no kids. There was nothing really holding us back.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought, okay, we'll just give up everything, our jobs, and find ways to get rid of our stuff and buy a bike and go. Yeah. Actually got inspired by seeing a documentary of Biking Borders on Netflix about 2 guys cycling from Germany to Beijing.
Bikepackers.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
That was quite inspiring, and we had Nina's mother, who was an inspiration to us, and then combined with seeing that film, it's like, I think this is the perfect way of traveling for us.
And some books as well. There are some books about hiking and living in nature and stuff, where you see that going slow is really interesting to really feel the country, really experience the country in a different way. So at the end, because of all these ideas and about that made us choose for the bike instead of
a couple of things added up, and that was like, for us, this is going to be the way. And actually the moment from making the decision to actually getting on the bike was like 3 months probably.
Oh, quick. Oh, wow.
Yes, very quick. And we were just very lucky that's why I mentioned the PCT, because Nina bought already a lot of gear for that.
Got
it.
So
she did her research and everything, so I could just sit back a little bit, and she knew what she was talking about. For me, everything was fairly new, so I put my faith in her hands, and I'm very happy and lucky that she had all the knowledge and put all the time and effort in it already. So I'm very grateful for that.
So 2 months before we went, we bought bikes. These were second-hand bikes. I think they're around 30 years old.
30-year-old touring bikes. Yeah.
Touring bikes.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Sturdy
bikes
steel frame.
Yeah, still doing great.
Yeah.
So.
My next question was, did you customize the bikes for your travels to make sure you had, like, I don't know, extra bits for space, or make sure your tires are I don't know. I'm not a bike expert by any means, but like, did you customize your bikes?
I have to say we weren't bike experts as well.
Not at all, actually.
No. In the Netherlands, it's so normal to have a bike, but they're all really crappy, and you don't look at your chain and clean them or something. So everything was new for us as well, and we learned a lot along the way. So in the beginning, we just had what we bought, and that's it. Yeah.
And then you rode off straight into Germany, I guess. Okay.
It was actually quite hard to get the bikes, because apparently in COVID times a lot of people had the idea of going bikepacking or touring. So for me, but it was actually a good thing there was only one bike in my size. So, and I'm always really hard with making these big decisions. So for me, it was good there were no real options. So I just had to go with the bike. Which made it a fairly bit easier. And they were made for touring. So they were pretty customized or already. So you can have panniers on the front and in the back and everything. So
yeah, that's, I guess, a very important part of that type of traveling, right? Because you don't want to go with a bog standard shitty bike. I mean, I reckon some people are that wired to try it, but I reckon you just need to have a proper touring or mountain bike that's built for that kind of travel, I think.
Yeah, and I think we learned already a lot because of my mom, and she started just on a city bike she had, and just with some panniers she had already, and slowly built up and changed to a touring bike and the real water panniers and everything. So, and we just bought everything new when we started. Yeah.
And some secondhand.
And some secondhand as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And did you have a time in mind for how long you want to travel for?
Yeah, we started with the idea to stay away for 1 year.
Okay.
And that changed. Yeah. Then we go a little bit fast forward, because we had to go home, cycle from the Netherlands through Germany and then into Austria.
Yeah.
And we
October.
Started in October.
21.
Yeah. And after 3.5 weeks, we were in the mountains, and it was that night, it was -5 degrees Celsius.
Right.
And the days were beautiful and really warm as well, if the sun was out. But there was ice on the road, and I fell off the bike, and I broke my wrist. So we had to go home. So that winter we stayed home and recovered. And then we changed our whole plan again, because we could work a little bit more. And so then our whole plan changed. At first, our plan was to go to Nepal. And then later on, we thought, why not make a plan to go all the way to Australia and try and do it overland?
Yeah.
But we knew it wasn't really possible, but okay.
Well, we saw that a lot can change in a blink of an eye, so we hope it will change
while we were cycling
in a positive way in our benefit. So
and then we decided to stay away for around 2 years, but we don't really have a plan, so it was just how long we like to.
Right. So when you went back home, you worked, recovered, and then you started again. Did you do the same route that you planned to do, like from the first time? So no. We skipped a part, yes, and we were pretty early in the spring, so there was still snow in the mountains. So we decided, and
it was still cold winter. We left on the 14th of March, 2022.
Yeah,
so it's officially still winter.
Yeah, so we
wanted to skip.
Decided to go by bus to Italy.
Yeah.
We went to Milan. We skipped a little part. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got the route here, which I guess combines the first bit, then the break, and then the second part of the trip. So I'm just going to read out the countries, and maybe we can just have like, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes in each one, maybe like a highlight or something that's great about that country, biking through it. So the route was Germany, Austria, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia, Greece, Turkey, Iran.
Yes.
Okay, this will be quite fun. Let's do like 1 or 2 minutes in each one. So Germany, what was a great thing about biking in Germany?
Well, we left in October 21, so
Yeah.
it was like fall time, and the colors, we were cycling along the Rhine, the colors changing every day were so beautiful, like from really deep red to like golden, just unbelievably beautiful. And we were so lucky with the weather. And normally you expect a lot of rain, but we only had like one rainy morning, and it was just really beautiful cycling along the Rhine. And also the first time seeing the mountains in the south of Germany is like really thinking like, wow, we've already gone so far, and that's like just the second country. Like at the start, you think like, whoa, we've already so far. I think that will stand out for us in Germany, and just the fresh bread from the bakeries. It was so good.
Okay, I'm not going to label them the same, but you go into Austria, fairly same vibe, do you think? Like same sort of feeling?
Yeah, and it was the beginning of the real mountains, so it was beautiful. And I think the road the first time we went sort of off-road through the mountains was just beautiful. We were following the how was it called? The Claudia Augusta or something?
Via Claudia Augusta. It's from München to Venice.
Okay.
It's more like a mountain biking route.
Yeah, it was not built for touring bikes that are heavily loaded.
Okay.
So we had to walk sometimes, but it was beautiful. Yeah.
And I think what changed from Germany is like there was really a ski vibe when we were in Tyrol. Like you're really getting ready for the ski season and everything, and that's like not what we saw in Germany, or not as much.
Yeah.
Okay, and did you find Austria, like in terms of the roads, like better than Germany, or was it same?
Same. I think in Germany, I had the feeling that there are more bicycle lanes and just bicycle roads that are where there are no cars, really. But I don't. Yeah.
I think we were happily surprised with that there were bicycle roads in Germany and Austria.
Yeah,
and to be honest, in every country we've been, there are bicycle lanes. So we actually expected after the Netherlands to just stop, and it will be a little bit more dangerous. But we are actually pleasantly surprised that they have that in different countries. It doesn't connect all the way like we do have in the Netherlands. So sometimes the bicycle lane just stops, and it's like, where are we supposed to go now? So
fair enough. Okay.
A lot in Italy. Yeah.
And then you have your break in Milan.
We took the bus because we tried to limit our flying as well. So when we went back, we went by train from Austria back home. And then we took the flex bus to Milan, which was not the greatest ride. It was like 24 hours with stops, and like they stop everywhere and they shout, and then you have to get off, and it wasn't a great experience, but it's a cheap way and good alternative for flying. But yeah, if you don't mind flying, I would definitely recommend that. It's a lot quicker, easier.
But I guess you would have obviously put your bikes in the coach, right? In the bus.
Yeah, so with the flex bus, they have a season for bikes. So you have to book it only in the spring and summer. So that's why we left as early as possible, because that's when the bike season started for FlexBus.
Okay.
And there's just like bike racks on the back of the bus, so it doesn't have to go. You don't have to really take them apart, and they can just be set on the back, which is quite nice. Only
the second bus didn't have that, so we had to put them underneath in the
coach. In the bus.
Right. Yeah. Were they damaged at any point during the ride?
No, not that ride.
Okay. Because I imagine from the Australian guys that I interviewed for their biking trip, they obviously flew from Australia to Southeast Asia and had to fly their bikes. So I think that's like a big extra cost, because you've got to wrap them up. It's a big box type thing. So I think that can add to the cost if you're not going to go on a bus or train.
Yeah. It's a lot of, if you wanted to do it as cheap as possible, you have to take a lot of time to do some research. And then it doesn't have to be that expensive, but it takes a lot of time.
A lot of different airlines have different policies, so it can add up. Sometimes they charge you €250 per bike, and some airlines actually let you take your bike for free.
Got it.
If you take it apart and put it in a small box.
Yeah.
But it is possible.
If it's with their sizes, but I think we'll touch down on it a little bit later.
And then Italy.
Good question. Just probably the food, the coffees, and just we really like that.
For us, the first time we had a little bit of really warm weather as well.
Yeah.
That was really nice, and I think in Italy we started for the first time, or for my feeling, the first time on a bicycle route. But that's not true because we did before. But it was the Eurovelo 8, and we really like to go there because at the start of Italy, we cycled just on my own made route.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you're on a road and you think, oh no, do we really have to cycle here with all these cars and they're going so quick? And then we went on these Eurovelo 8 route, and we loved it. It changed a lot. It felt really nice to
just cycling along the coast. Also visiting Venice was probably a highlight, and just a lot more remote, just walking and cycling paths along the coast, which is a good change up from the even busy highways, or we've been cycling on the side of a road where they can go 70 k's an hour, which is a bit dodgy and scary. But so we're happy to find the other route. Yeah. So the Eurovelo, they have different routes all over Europe, and this is one of them. It stretches from Gibraltar, the Strait of Gibraltar, all the way to Izmir in Turkey.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is huge.
And it's also from North Cap to the south of Spain. It's a lot of different routes.
Yeah.
All right. So the Italy portion would have been where to where? Which part of Italy was that?
I think we found this route just after Venice.
Yeah, because it was on the coast, and we came from more inland.
Yeah.
So from Venice, from there we
followed
all
the way to
Albania.
Because at this point, we done the Interrail pass this year, and we're following the same route as you. So you went to Slovenia next, which is the same place that we went to, because the train from Venice via Trieste goes to Ljubljana. So how was Slovenia?
Yeah, the funny thing is that Slovenia, we were going along the coast, and we were there for 24 hours. And that was because we decided to sleep there, because otherwise we would just go into Croatia.
We could have just gone in 6 hours, I think.
And I think we just really want to go back to Slovenia and really travel only within Slovenia, because we are really interested in this country. The one thing that I really pops up in my mind is that it feels like the first Balkan country where the people are different, and it was really nice, and in a way, and also a bit of an adjustment, because you come from Italy where everyone is so ciao, hello, and really, really outgoing, and then you're in a country where everyone is more silent and doesn't have a smile at first, but still really, really nice. Yeah. If you make contact with people, then their smile is really immense. So that is really nice about.
And with Slovenia, it's we want to go there on holiday and explore the country. So we'll do that in the future. But when we entered, I think the roads were very good. There was a newly made cycling lane. People were using it for skating and just riding their bikes and walking. It was just very beautiful. We've only been there for one day, but it was really good.
Feel right away that a lot of people like to go out.
Yeah, outdoorsy vibe.
It's an outdoorsy vibe, even along the coast there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one country that we decided on this trip that we want to go back to. I think we're there for a week, Ljubljana and Lake Bled. But it's so easy. Okay. There's not many people. Easy trains, easy roads, green. People are actually very nice. They speak good English, because Slovenian is ridiculously hard to speak, so they have to speak English to speak to tourists. And everything seems pretty easy to book. So we felt like we just want to go back. And I did interview a guy there who came on the podcast, and he's American, but he lives there. He speaks fluent Slovenian, and he was telling me all these tips and tricks to go to. So I have to go back.
That's
Nice.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly
perfect.
what you need.
Yeah.
And they
what
have
a
a
country.
really nice foodie scene there as well. They make
Yep.
like their own orange wines and great food, and I think Ljubljana is a bit of a hot spot, so we would definitely want to go and visit.
Yeah, I think they do. We had a petitza, is that petitza cake, which is like a local cake to Bled, and unreal. Like, can't believe what's tasting. But Ljubljana is along the river, right? So you can just like casually bike along the river, and they got like all cafes and bars there. And anytime it's like mild weather, they're out having a drink and good vibes. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we can't really say we've been there. We just passed through, but we will definitely go and explore some more.
Yeah, you should. It's only going to get better, I think. I still think it's a little bit unknown. Your next country, Croatia, is obviously much more well known to go to. So, yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Yes. Yeah, so Croatia is just a beautiful coastline. And it was a bit of the thing of our travels is like we just got there before the tourism. So I think we entered Croatia at the start of April. So it's not too easy to find campsites because there were a lot of still closed. But we felt like the people were at the start not very friendly because we were the first tourists for the year. So they're like, oh, they're already here. Come on, just give us a break. And they were all like really building hard and setting up, and we could feel like we felt like a little bit unwelcome. But that after a while we made a decision to get off the coast and more into the mountains, and the people were just unbelievably friendly there. I think for a whole week we didn't have to set up our tent because we got invited by people.
Oh wow!
Because we were just asking for water, and they say it's too cold to sleep in your tent. Come and sleep inside, and they cook us all meals and gave us like when they caught like wild boar and cut it in they gave it to us like as a snack for on the route. And all of a sudden there's like maybe 3 people did that, so all of a sudden we had all this meat, and we don't eat that much meat obviously. Or we didn't bring it on the bike because it gets bad quite quickly, and we don't have like a fridge and everything. So it was just like we love the mountains. Also, it's very beautiful area in Croatia, which is unexplored because everybody always goes to the coast, and it's really made for mass tourism. But we like to go like the other way. To do.
You really feel that they normally don't see any tourists. So and that made it was our first real adventure for our it felt like that.
And also we felt probably the unsafest on the bike.
Oh,
because the cars probably don't really like bicycle people there because they come really close. And we were there in April, and in the winter there you have like these winds like the Bora Bora and different kind of winds. So there are still some very strong winds there, and sometimes you have these gusts from the side where you just get pulled on your bike, like they push you to the side. And then in combination with the cars just passing by really closely, we felt quite unsafe. One point we just had to stop cycling because we were like, this is just crazy, like we don't want to risk our lives. I think that's also maybe the point when we decided to go into the mountains, which was like the best idea ever.
And does the mountains hug the coast? Are you going down like the coastal part of the country, but inland?
Yeah, so you could see, so at some point you could actually see down there, and see
the coast and all the islands. So
wow,
you get a few.
So you are sort of in parallel to like Zadar, Split, I guess Hvar, and Dubrovnik.
Yeah, we went to Split. So from I think a little bit before
Zadar, we went into the mountains.
Before Zadar, because we also wanted to go along the coast as well. So it was a little bit more north then, northwest, where we went into the mountains.
And we did the whole coast of Istria.
So first Istria was the coast, then we didn't really like that, and then went into the mountains, and then from Zadar we went along the coast again. So we did a bit of both. Yeah.
That's great, because I imagine that coastline must be amazing.
Yes. Yeah, it was also again a little bit more warmer and warmer. It got a little bit warmer, so we could go and swim in the sea, and some people were like, "What? Did you swim in the sea? It's so cool." But
I think I jumped in the water in the Adriatic Sea on the 1st of April, and people were like looking at me if I was
losing
crazy.
their shit.
But after like a warm day, we also bathe in the water in the Rhine in Germany in October, because after days Rhine you're just hot, and I was like on the beach, it's like I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah.
And you have to freshen up anyway.
Of course, yeah,
But then from Split we went back to Split to the coast, and then from there we went to an island for a little break. Like a lot of people say, okay, isn't like one big holiday, but it's actually quite mentally and physically challenging being on the bike.
Yeah.
So we had like a 4-day break on Havar, one of the islands where you can reach from Split. And we chose that island because we didn't have to go back to Split, but we could take a boat to the mainland a bit further down the road. So we didn't feel like we were wasting time, which is something we let go a little bit later.
And there was a nice wild camping spot there, so we could just stay there. And we're really lucky because it wasn't the season yet. There was a restaurant that was closed, but their electricity did worked and water runs. So
it's all we need.
Everything there.
So we just did shopping for 4 days, and then we didn't have to go back into town to collect water or electricity, so we could just charge everything and have enough water for cooking and drinking. And then after 4 days, we was like, okay, food is running up, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Hvar looks amazing. That's one of the islands you've got to go to, I think. But Croatia, you make a good point. In the off season, if you can, don't go like in the summer because it'd just be crazy.
Mass tourism. And even then it was already quite busy with a lot of British tourists were there in Havar. But we weren't really in the center. The center is very beautiful, but it had like a Monaco kind of vibe. It's like casinos and big yachts and expensive boats.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of a night scene there as well. There were some young Brits there.
Yeah.
But there's beautiful nature there as well. So we didn't really have to go into the city that often. So we were only there twice.
It was a nice city.
It is very beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then next was Bosnia.
We went into Bosnia and then after that back into Croatia.
Okay.
And we followed a cycling route there as well. It was really beautiful and really wild, like the rocky. Yeah.
There's like an old train route which is not in use anymore.
Yeah.
And we just went to Mostar and then back, and we were there for a couple of days exploring. And
you feel first time you feel like the Turkish vibe already.
Okay.
That's so nice about going slow and going from overland through all these countries, that you see a little bit the changes in a country as well, and you see different cultures, and there we were invited as well by a woman. It was really nice in this old house. And the thing was in Bosnia was that you have these old villages, and because of the war there are a lot of ruins, and then also houses that are built up again, and you have just in one village you have everything, like the ruins and the children playing with the ball, and then beautiful houses. So, and almost every village is like this. It's really strange. And and this woman was living in a village with I think 20 other people, and
the rest left because the one didn't want to rebuild. Looked like went to the city for better lives, and
she rebuilt it herself. So it was she had running water, but it was all really
very primitive,
and beautiful to see as well how she did this. And I don't know, it was nice.
Back into Croatia, then further on to Montenegro, because that kind of goes on the coast, right?
Yes.
Montenegro was one of our favorite countries.
Yes, we didn't
looks amazing.
Cultural. We didn't do a lot of cultural things. We went to a couple of cities, but the mountains and the nature was just unreal. And one of the first days we went there, we had to do like a 1,000 meter climb, which is like zigzagging all the way up. It was really challenging. And when we reached the top, there was like a cafe, restaurant, bar there called Horizon, I think it's called. And it was just very basic. It was a guy with a bar and just opening up beers from the refrigerator. And we sat down there. And there were like these platforms built overlooking like the Kotor. It's just like unreal scenery. And then it's like, okay, we're pretty tired. It was 4:00. It's like, what are we gonna do now? We'll ask him if he knows a place where we could camp. And then he's like, oh, you can just camp on one of these platforms. So we had like the sunset and the sunrise on one of these platforms. The only thing was, it was like the altitude was probably like 1,400 meters, and it was very windy that night, and there was some thunderstorms. Really getting too close to our. The sleep wasn't great, but the views the next morning and the evening were like one of the most beautiful of the whole trip.
Yeah, I think Montenegro is maybe like I wouldn't say hidden gem, but it's like the place that people don't normally go to, but they should go to. This looks incredible.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think
it has everything. It has the beaches, it has the mountains, and also the greenery.
There's a lot of history.
Yeah, so it's just a beautiful country.
And definitely would recommend it. But it wasn't as cheap as we expected it to be.
Oh,
but
okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Really expensive.
Yeah, well, we hear it's quite.
I mean,
it's very cheap.
We are talking about groceries because we didn't really have other expenses. Just sleeping in the wild. So
we sleep in our tent, so we don't go to like hotels. So probably that could be a lot cheaper. But if you look at groceries, it wasn't that cheaper than Croatia. Yeah. And in Bosnia, we did buy groceries, like a whole bag of veggies for like 50 cents. And also one time we bought one tomato for 50 cents.
Yeah, so
we got really ripped off. Depending where you go. But it was one of the highlights definitely in Europe. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Okay, and the next country is Albania, which should be cheap, I think, from what I've read and heard.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people said it's their favorite country. So we met a lot of other bicycle people there, as well, and a lot of people said you hate it or you love it. And for us, it was more hating it than loving it.
Okay.
It was the first time. It was really, really rough. Like the first thing, so like the border was just crazy. People standing in line there and just grabbing each other's passport and talking.
We loved that.
That was really fun.
That was fun.
And the first shopping we did is like you don't get a receipt. It's like all handwritten down, and
then
you get the piece of paper back. And one of the first other traffic people we saw was like a guy standing on the back of a barrel. How do you say it? Like it was getting pulled by a donkey, and was hitting the donkey with his whip, and it was like standing on top there. It's like, okay, we just got into
in what age are we now?
We jumped into a time warp, and it's very Muslim country, so it's the first time you really see like the mosque and hear like the prayers, the call to prayers.
Really it was a beautiful entry, and the first week, so we took a break a little bit. There is like an eco farm that is on Warm Showers. That is an app that so cyclists would open their houses for other cyclists. And this eco farm was really, a lot of people were talking about it. It was so nice. So we stayed there for a couple of nights and just had a break, and it was really nice. And we went into the city. How was it called? Skodor. And Skodor is sort of cycling, the cycling city of the country. So you see everyone on a bicycle, and it's just a really, really nice city. And the way normally we don't like to go into a city because of all the traffic and everything, but here we were just like a couple of minutes, and we were like, oh, we are in the city center already. That was easy. And all the markets there, and just a lot of exploring to do there. So that was really nice. But then we made a wrong decision where we decided not to go through the mountains, because we had done a lot of mountains and we needed a break. Sometimes it's nice to go along the coast and then through the mountains again. And now we thought, okay, we're going through the country. We still follow the Eurovelo 8, and you can sometimes choose which route of the Eurovelo 8 you do. And this one was more through the rural areas and the big cities, and I think that was just a wrong decision. It was not really nice. And then later on we had an invitation of a guy who told us about his life and how they don't have any opportunities and that kind of stuff. And it was nice to hear, or good to hear from someone how his life is. But it felt a bit wrong, or it didn't feel good for me in that moment. And then we said goodbye, everything was okay. And then later on we decided we really want to sleep in a campsite, but it's already really late, so let's go find camp spots. And we found some woods, where we camped. And then in that night, not far from us, they were shooting the AK-47s.
Oh,
like in the world, yeah.
Just shooting around, and we were like, okay, what are we going to do now? And we were really, really scared. And we knew it was a small percentage chance that we would get hit, but you never know. And also because it was so close, we were talking about it like it's such a small chance. But then when they shoot, your heart rate go up, and you don't have any control about what you feel. So
you can't think rationally.
No. So after that, we just didn't feel it anymore, and we decided later on that we took us a little bit of time, and then later on we decided to hitchhike out of the country because we just didn't feel it anymore. I really wanted to make a difference. So we skipped the part and went to North Macedonia.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's mostly young kids who have the AK-47s, which you don't know how they're going to react if they see you or what's going to happen. So for us, it was just the wrong place, the wrong time, we think, and it was just not for us. I would definitely want to go back and give it a second chance because we've only heard good stories from people, and the people were very friendly. But because of that incident, we are a little bit wary of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think
young kids weren't really nice as well. They are like call me names and stuff. So
really,
it was a bit different things. And I think we just really want to go back because we want to feel what other people know about this country, and we know that this is just a small part of it, and there's a lot.
And they have beautiful mountains and beautiful coastlines as well. So we do want to give it a second chance.
Yeah, I think Albania is an interesting country because I think a lot of the youngsters would leave to go somewhere else to find a job or whatever in Europe. It has got a weird vibe, and I imagine that if you're traveling there, it's not comfortable, like you said. You're kind of there by choice, but they don't want to be there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Wild West, and they have been closed for a long time, and I think they have, I don't know. Maybe it's also the first country that it's in more of a men's world already, and maybe I had to adjust a little bit in the feeling like, okay, I need to take a step back here.
I think this is just our experience. We were in the wrong place in the wrong time. It's a lot different for other people. A lot of people say you hate it or you love it, and I think we hated it at this point in time, but I think there's a lot of things to love. So
yeah, the man's world thing is interesting. We both found that very prevalent in the Middle East. I think I can't remember where we were. Maybe that's UAE. No, maybe not. Maybe it's somewhere like Oman. My girlfriend like, where are the women? Like all the men are out. Where are the women? Yeah, this is a very interesting world.
I know in UAE it's really a country where the women don't have a lot of rights. So
you went to North Macedonia. That's quite an interesting place because, again, maybe not on many people's radars in Europe. So what was that like?
We were still a little bit in the aftershock of Albania. So the first couple of days was a little bit grey. So we were at Lake Ohrid, which is like one of the most popular tourist places there. Yeah. But because it was a little bit grey and we didn't really felt like it was not the best. But then the last day we went, I can't remember the name of the place, but we ran into this city which had a really lovely vibe. And it was like this nice coffee bar where we sat for breakfast, and then after that we continued into the mountains, and which was the last night. We only were there for 3 days, and the last night that we were there, we had this beautiful camp spot in the mountains, and that's the first time we felt safe and good again. And because we told ourselves, like, if this feeling of insecurity and not feeling safe and not enjoying it holds on, we'll stop the journey and just go back, which is okay. Yeah. But luckily enough, after I think 5 or 6 days, we felt like ourselves again, and we could enjoy the travel again. And it was a beautiful part as well.
I think they have a lot of beautiful nature there as well, and that felt really nice to be in the mountains again. And I think we just have to choose for the mountains and the hard part.
Yeah.
It's harder to ride, but it's a lot more rewarding. Yeah. It was actually quite funny because we hitchhiked out of the country of Albania to Northern Macedonia, and it was so funny because they're in the back of a truck. Our bikes were in the back of the truck as well. And it was just so easy. The truck driver just grabbed our passports and gave it to them, and we thought it was going to be a bit of like
They opened the truck and saw 2 bikes there,
Yeah.
and it was okay.
Yeah.
like all the bags as well, and they didn't even open the bags for us
Oh,
with any
wow.
question. It was like fairly easy. We thought this could be maybe a bit of a problem because we're just here with this random man in his truck,
Yeah.
but it was all okay.
And then you go into one of my favourite countries, which is Greece.
Yeah,
Did you like it?
we loved Greece.
Yeah,
Yes.
they really loved Greece, especially at the start. We didn't know that you could actually go skiing in Greece. There were like ski
Oh, yeah.
resorts and beautiful mountains.
Yeah.
In the north,
The
yeah.
first night we had like a beautiful camping spot on the side of a forest, and we were making like a campfire. And then all of a sudden we heard like quite a big animal was very curious on the side of the. We think it might have been a bear, but we're not sure.
Okay.
On the outskirts of the forest, and because we had the fire and we were in the open field, it didn't really come out of the woods. But that was a quite interesting encounter the first night.
Yeah.
And for me, Greece, we really loved it, but I had a lot of mechanical problems. I think I had in 1 week 10 flat tires. My chain broke eventually.
Right.
All these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a downside of the experience, but the country itself is just lovely.
Yeah. Only thing is the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs
That was
are
in
crazy.
Croatia already.
Yeah.
But in Greece, I don't know.
They're next level crazy.
There were
dogs.
next level crazy dogs, and I think there were more in groups. So that
Yeah.
was one thing that we didn't like.
Because normally stray dogs are not really the problem. It's more like the guard dogs of houses, and
Yeah.
they're very territorial. And we had that as well. But in Greece, like there were packs of just stray dogs that would come after us. And one time, I was navigating for one day. I don't know why anymore. Probably because I was commentating on her navigation skills, which are very good. So, and then I was doing it, and I took a wrong turn, and all of a sudden we ran into this pack of stray dogs, like maybe like 15, and they were like coming after us. It was quite scary, but we were still alive.
But Greece, yeah. So we started in the mountains, and then later on we went along the coast. Had amazing food, and were invited by these men who were having lunch together, and we worked in their garden for a bit to help them out and to give something back, and had like the typical Greek lunch with a couple of men. Just the whole table was full of food,
like salad, fish off the barbecue, and like we really like that it's like the tablecloth, or how you say that, it's like one big napkin, so you can just use it to get your greasy fingers on it, and everything is done by hand, and we're just having a conversation and drinking beers and raki. Nice.
It was nice to have some contact. I think almost every country we have been invited by someone, but it was nice to meet these people. There was some communication problems because we thought this man showed his house and showed a bedroom where we could sleep that night.
Oh.
So we were like, oh, no problem. Have some beers, have some raki. And then later on it was like, okay, and where are you going now? We're like, we thought we would sleep here.
Like, no, we're leaving.
No, we're leaving now. So where are you going? Because they couldn't really speak English. Everything was in German, but then German. Broken German of us and broken German of them. So
miscommunication.
But the nice thing about Greece is that you have all these just small beaches everywhere. You go around the corner and you have a beach where nobody is, and you can just camp there. So that was really nice, and all these beautiful spots.
What was your route in Greece? Where did you go? Did you go to any islands?
No, we didn't.
So we went like from the mountains south to Thessaloniki, and from there, I think along the coast
towards Turkey.
Okay.
So it was a bit of the quickest route. It was the quickest route, and I think Greece is also a country we would like to go back to and explore some more, because there's so much and such a big country.
I think it's similar to Croatia, so maybe avoid like the high season and mass tourism. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of people go to the same places, and I think there's just so much to explore, and so many islands who are as good or better or a little bit. And
also inland, you have these mountains and big lakes where you can swim as well. So I think there's enough enough of the country you can explore. Yeah, we really want to go back.
I think there's so many places in Greece. It's quite overwhelming. There's so many islands. There's so many mountains. There's so many cities. It's a place where you could probably just do a whole trip on its own.
Yes, definitely. You could easily spend a month there or longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then you crossed into Turkey.
Yes. That was the first time getting really close to leaving Europe.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite interesting because we had this route going from Greece into Turkey. And it was a route on Google Maps as well, but all of a sudden the roads were gone and we were just on these backsides, and we kept finding all these clothes laying around. And later we found out this was a human trafficking kind of route for people to get from Turkey into Europe.
Yeah.
And we were sleeping there because we didn't want to go into Turkey later in the day. It's always this new country, you don't know really what to expect. So we thought, okay, we want to stay close to the border and go into Turkey the next day. But we got woken up at the police in the morning at 6 a.m. because they were like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Sleeping in the tent, but then we showed our European or our Dutch passports and everything was okay. I think it's more for So we were at that moment also know how privileged we are with our passports and everything, and it was not really a problem. And also didn't really we have been to Turkey before. You've been to one of the main resort places, and I've been to Istanbul once, but we didn't really know what to expect. So Nina was getting all dressed and want to respect the Islamic culture.
Okay.
But then a couple days in, we saw people are not really wearing headscarves or showing a little bit of skin, so it was fine for us as well, because obviously you're on the bike the whole day. It's not nice to be.
A lot of people show a lot of skin.
We did go to Ankara, and we felt that's a bit more conservative. So Emma did get dressed up there out of respect, but Istanbul or the West.
I think in Konya is also a little bit more religious, and
and also in the small villages. I mean, because we are on the bicycle, you get into the small villages. So the first few days we were also in these villages where the women had the hijab and everything. So
a bit more conservative.
Yeah, a little bit more conservative, but I didn't really feel like I needed to dress. So.
Yeah. And what's the route through Turkey? Are you just trying to get to the east?
Well, we actually, an old colleague of mine, she is married to a Turkish man, and she does hiking and biking routes in Turkey. So she gave us her route, which goes from Istanbul to Konya through the mainland, and that was the plan.
Yeah.
But we met some Turkish bikepackers on the way, and they invited us in Istanbul. One of them lived in Istanbul, or they all lived in Istanbul.
Yeah.
And they were just doing a lap around the lake, Marmaris Lake.
Oh, yeah.
So we met up with them, and they told us when we showed us our routes, no, you have to do the coast because the coast is just really beautiful.
And they could give us some routes as well because they have done a lot of bikepacking. In Turkey, there are a lot of bikepackers, so that's really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a biking school thing outside of Istanbul. We didn't go there, but that's where a lot of bikepackers meet up and meet each other, and they learn kids how to ride their bikes there. And they've got this big gymnasium where everybody can stay. So you sometimes even have 20 bikepackers there staying there at once,
right?
Which is quite fun. We had heard stories from other people, but we didn't really experience that. But we really loved Istanbul. We stayed there for eventually 10 days. First, we heard horrific stories about cycling into Istanbul because it's such a big city and the traffic. So we heard that you can take the boat from Bandırma on the south of the Marmaris Lake straight into Istanbul, which makes it a lot easier. So we did that. So we followed first the coast down south, and then from there to Bandırma.
Yeah, from Bandırma to the boat to Istanbul, and then later on we stayed at the house of this Turkish man. He was saying, okay, you don't want to cycle out of the city, and he arranged a bus for us.
Okay, yeah.
We started from Çanakkale, and then from there we went along the coast.
Towards we went past Troy, Ephesus.
Yeah, so we went all the way to Izmir, and then later on
we took the boat from Bodrum to Datça. Also, we wanted to skip that part because we thought we had to go along the coast, then into, because it's like an outskirt of Turkey.
Yeah.
So we thought we had to go back and in towards the mainland and then back around the same coast. But then we heard you could take a boat from Bodrum. So we did that, and it was like Datça was actually one of the most beautiful rides we did in all of Turkey.
Yeah.
And there were some like abandoned beaches, or not abandoned beaches, just beaches where nobody were. So one time we had to do a little bit of a hike. We left our bikes a little bit more along the road and hiked down to find like this private beach. Was like unreal and just very beautiful, and did some snorkeling there and see a lot of fish, made a campfire, and camped there for the night.
Did you go to Cappadocia?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so after we followed the coast, and from one point after Antalya,
we went inland into the mountains, and then from there we went to first lake to
Tuskulu.
Tuskulu.
Mm-hmm.
That's a salt lake. So we cycled over on a road that goes through through the lake. It was beautiful. From there we went towards Cappadocia.
Yeah.
And in Turkey we cycled a lot with others. Bikepackers, so 2 weeks with one couple and 2 other weeks with another couple, and in Cappadocia we were with a group of 8 in total.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and we just explored there, and it was really nice because it's pretty touristy. There were a lot of people, but because you have your own bike and you can go wherever you want. So a lot of buses with tourists go to one place and then and to another place, but there are a lot of just places where nobody is, so you can explore and have the feeling that there's no tourist at all, where you know that it's a really touristy place. So that was really nice. And last night we slept in a cave, one of the caves. We just tried and find one, and that was really, really cool, and we slept really good.
Like a movie night with one other couple from Belgium. They're French talking, but we really hit it off. We cycled what she said already with the 2 weeks with them before that, and we met up again in Cappadocia. It was so nice to see them again. And we're already looking forward to when we go back home to meet up with them, because we really felt like it's a friendship that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, and then after Cappadocia, we were in Turkey for a long time, and we had only 3 months. You can be in country for 3 months. So we had to skip a part because we just didn't take the quickest route, and we just took our time. So we skipped a part and then went to the city Erzurum, and from there we cycled towards.
We had to go to Erzurum because we had to arrange our visas for Iran.
Yeah.
So otherwise we probably would have stayed more on the south side.
Yes.
The part that was hit by the earthquake. So because we had to go to Erzurum, we went more inland, and then we took the bus. And it's also, we felt not a bit rushed, but because we booked our flights home, because we wanted to see my brother, who lives in Australia, where we're actually visiting now, was coming to the Netherlands with his whole family. And on the time that we were on the bike, my sister gave birth to her son, her second child, and my other nephew was born in Australia. But because of COVID times, we hadn't actually met them. So it was like so many reasons to go back to the Netherlands. So we did that.
And we really wanted to be for 1 month in Iran. So we decided to skip a part, so we had enough time for Iran, and we knew when we would fly back home. So the last part of Turkey was a big difference. And the thing was that because you skip a part, you don't see the small changes.
Yeah.
So you feel that it is different. And the one thing you see is that the poverty there is massive. I mean, it was sometimes you're thinking, okay, there are people who are poor, but they have a good life. They have a village. Everyone has their own veggie garden, and life is okay. But here the poverty was different. People it looked a bit sad, and that was the first time we saw this kind of party.
I think there's a lot of Kurdish people who don't really have a place. They don't feel Turkish. They
don't feel Turkish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have their own country. So, and they're a bit mistreated by the government. So I think that's a lot of Kurdish people.
Yeah, we felt that. And then, but the nature there was also really different, like these rocky mountains, and it was really massive. Everything was massive there. So that was beautiful.
So are you going towards the land border of Iran?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mount Ararat. Yeah,
Okay.
so we passed Mount Ararat into Iran. Yeah.
Okay, but you had to get your visas before the land border.
Yes, this is the first time we really needed a visa, and it's quite strict in Iran, or at least you have to really apply for it. So it took a bit of time as well, but in the end it was all good, and we arranged the visas. And the land border was not hectic, but there was like lots of lines of trucks in front of the border, and you had to really go through gates and from different places and they checked all these things and like the vaccination things, and it was a little bit hectic, and they don't see a lot of tourists, especially with the bike, so a lot of people were interested in us, and we met a really nice Iranian couple. They were our age, they could speak really good English, so that was very helpful. They helped us with a couple of things, and even invited us to come and stay at their house as well in Tabriz.
Yeah.
And was your plan just to try and make it to Tehran for your flight back to Holland?
Yes, so the plan was to go to Tehran and from there still take a train to Shiraz, because we really wanted to go to Shiraz.
And
I think that was not the plan. The plan was to do as much as possible on the bike.
Yeah, in the beginning, but
the climate was, I think it was August when we were in Iran. It was just so hot.
Yeah, a lot of people already decided not to go into Iran
because of the heat, and so the plans changed. I think in the 30 days that we were in Iran, we only cycled for 10.
Okay.
So we stayed with the family or the couple in Tabriz for I think 5 days, and they showed us around. So we did some little day trips around the area, and we stayed in a different city after that, the Ardabil, which is on 1,000 meter elevation, which makes it a bit cooler, but it was still like 30 degrees. And we were there in the time where they do the mourning for one of the prophets, 10 days of mourning, which was very, everybody's dressing up in black, and there was like people just paying their respects, and it was quite interesting to see. And in Ardabil, we met through this guy through warm showers. So what Nina said about the application where you can stay, and he was a mountaineer.
Okay.
And there was also another Swiss couple coming later. They were a bit younger, also bikepackers. And all together we went and climbed Mount
Sabalam.
Yeah, the Sabalam mountain, which is the third highest mountain in Iran. It's close to 500 meters. It's like 4,800.
Okay.
And 70 something. It's like 5 meters higher than Mont Blanc.
Yeah.
Which was actually quite nice experience. But it was quite challenging. We felt really bad, and I also had a little bit of headaches for the altitude.
Overall, in Iran, it was more of meeting the local people and staying with them. And that was really interesting, because we didn't really do that in other countries. We have been invited in Turkey Turkey was also really welcoming country, and a lot of people were just inviting us. But Iran, it was different because they can speak really good English. And you can learn a lot about the country and just feel at home, and that was really beautiful to experience. So we met like the whole family, and every day we would go to or this family or that family and have dinner together. So that was really nice. Iran was less cycling, more of just meeting the local people and staying with them and learning about the culture and about the history. And then took a little bit of time in Shiraz of being just a tourist.
Of course, got to, yeah.
Because that was the first time we saw tourists again, and then you feel like, okay, now our bikes are not still with us, so we're really tourists here.
Yeah, and Shiraz was the first time we saw some some tourists again.
Yeah.
First time in a long while, because I think the last time was in
we met one German guy in Tabriz, which are also like a whole entourage. because everybody's so interested in when they see a tourist, and they really want to make sure you have a good time. So everybody's so nice and inviting, and yeah. But in Shiraz, it's just so beautiful, like the architecture over there, the beautiful buildings, the mosque is like incredible. And we went to Persepolis, which was
it's on my list.
like the capital of the Persian Empire,
Yeah.
which was destroyed by Alexander the Great, which was nice, but you still see the ruins and how massive it is. So pretty spectacular country to experience and see, and we really enjoyed our time in Iran.
Yeah, I think the advantage you have is that you have a Dutch passport, so you can just turn up, but like I can't just turn up, we have to do a tour. So I think if you're Canadian, UK, American, and now Irish, you have to do a tour in Iran. You can't just turn up and bike and stay at people's houses. You have to like arrange that. So that's unfortunate.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we have met some people or seen some people in Shiraz. They had like a tour guide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we were like, oh yeah, that's true. Not everyone has this advantage and can just be free in this country. I think Iran is one of these countries you really want to be free.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, with the tour guide you also get to see a lot, but
or you
we can do
to have this nice tour guide that sees it more as like, oh, you can stay at my place and meet my family. Some people are like that as well. So if you find someone,
I think couch surfing is better.
We had that as well. Like with the couch surfing, in the beginning, we had that we just would send messages to different people because not everybody would respond. And this one time we sent to in Iran as well. We made the mistake of sending to 2 people, and they both were like, "They have to come to me now. You've asked to come to me." We had to make a decision. It's like, no, you already said you're coming, so you have to come. And my mom is already cooking, like 3 days in advance. It's like crazy. We felt a little bit bad, but yeah. So we're like, okay, we're not going to do this again. So we just send one message to one person.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So Iran is a place that I want to go to, but obviously it's going to be different to your trip. But if you've not got one of those passports, then I'd implore people just to go and do it almost like a trip on its own in terms of not being on a tour. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we were very lucky because we were just there before the protests. So we had some other friends who went to Georgia first and then wanted to go to Iran after. So the couple we were with in Turkey, one of them, they were just entered Iran, but then got picked up by like the police or like the hidden police. And they were interrogated for like a full day and had to hand in all their electronic devices, and everything got tapped. And they felt so unsafe after that. So they made the decision to turn around. And the other couple that we were cycling with, they didn't even bother going to Iran anymore because of the current situation.
Yeah.
And there was no internet, so it was
really hard to navigate and everything and get around and get in contact. So we were very lucky that we were there just before that. And I'm not sure how the situation is right now, but
we hear that some people decide to go into the country, so there are still cyclists who are going, I think. I don't know for sure. But I think it's not worth it because you never know what will.
I think at the moment it's pretty calm, but it's
You don't know. I don't know.
I think we're gonna just touch on a couple of questions about just logistics of bikes. Did you ever have a maximum time or distance that you'd bike per day, or any rules?
No, but it changed throughout the time we were cycling, because in the beginning we cycled in October and the days were really short and cold. So it took a while in the morning to warm up, and then if it was warm you had to take all these layers off because you had all your layers on, and then it was too hot, and then you stop again, and the days were so short, so we had to stop at 4:00 to find a place to sleep and then cook and put our tent up.
You don't want to set up everything in the dark.
No, because it was really cold when the sun was down. I think mostly we try to live with the sun. I think that is our biggest rule. It's like we try and not cycle in the dark. We don't really like that. In a lot of countries, you never know if people drink and drive. Try and have your tent there when the sun is down. And we don't have a rule in a way that we don't want to want to have all the freedom. We want to say yes if we want to. So if someone invites us, our shortest day is 8 kilometers. because we were invited by people, and they said, "Oh, this is our house, but we have to work. Here are the keys, and enjoy." They were people who are doing like
making bikepacking routes as well in Turkey, and they said like you can stay if you want, and otherwise just throw the key in the post door if you leave. But then we decided on staying. And they were just so friendly, and we had really nice conversations with them as well. So that was our shortest day, and our longest day is probably around 110k. So which for other people is not very long, but for us that's perfect.
Some people it's really long, and some people some cyclists are more about the kilometers.
Yeah, it sounds long.
I think in the start in October the average was like maybe around 40-50k a day.
Yeah.
And towards the end it's more like 80k a day.
Yeah.
In Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned Southeast Asia, so we won't have time to go into the route there, but you had a break, you went home, then you went to Southeast Asia. So your route there was Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, then back to Thailand. I guess the question for me is, what was the main difference biking in Europe to Southeast Asia?
It's hot and wet.
Okay.
Yeah. We were surprised on how nice it was to cycle in Thailand. So that was really nice. I mean, the people give you a lot of room, and it was really easy going. It felt different that you feel dirty and it's just really hot and moist. And that was a difference. Yeah, you feel more dirty. So that is one change. And because we mostly sleep in a wild. There we have to say we slept mostly at temples. Because there are toilets and you can shower, and most of the temples say yes if you ask. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
And
it was just, I think, a lot easier, to be honest, because there was food everywhere. And it sounds a bit weird, but because we could stay at the temples, we had showers there and water, and the monks are very friendly. And we had this tip from Warm Showers host where we started off with in Bangkok. And then because there's just food everywhere, and cheap, really affordable food. Like we couldn't even cook ourselves for the same price, and it's definitely not as tasty as what you can get on the street. So, and it saves you so much time. You don't have to do grocery shopping. You don't have to do the cooking part. So it's like at the end of the day, we'll just find a street vendor, get some food, put it in our bags, and continue cycling to the temple. And then one person will just heat it up, or will just eat first and then have a shower after and set up the tent. And that's why it was just a lot easier.
Yeah.
So Thailand for us, it was very beautiful and nice, but it was less of an adventure because, well, you say everything was easy. We had showers, we had toilets, we had food all around the corner. So it was fairly easy to get around.
I think the adventure started in Laos again, where there was less food everywhere. And we went also because of the route we took was through the mountains, and it was just one big adventure with all these small villages who never have seen a white person. And
normally the kids were running after us like Sabadi, hello, and just were very enthusiastic. But there was one point where we had to go like really through the remote areas, like no paved roads, and it was very hard with the bikes. But the children over there were actually scared when they saw us because they've never seen a white person.
Running into the bushes. Yeah, it was really sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when we got invited there, and it's like so hard to get food. So when we were there, we got invited by a family, and they just catch rats in the mountains. So they made like a rat stew. So we just ate with the family. It was very chewy and not my thing. Actually, the stew was quite nice, but I gave most of the rat to the dog.
Wow, that's very rustic. Wow.
Yeah, it is. So that was Laos was just one big adventure for us, and it was really cool. Yeah.
And you just have to be lucky to find something. Like normally you just have pho or like the noodle soup almost every day. And these very remote areas. Like there's one point in time we had to actually ask people who were living in very primitive houses. They built their own houses there, and we had to ask them for water because we didn't have any water left, and they had like scooters, so they could just
go out of the mountains and get some water. Got their jerrycan and fill our bottles up, and we felt a bit like, oh, sorry that I was taking water, because they had to go out of the mountains with their scooter to get some more. So but we needed some water. We were all out, so yeah.
And even one time for lunch, we were asking also where can we get some food, and it's like there's no food here you can buy. So this man was just finishing up his lunch, so we could eat his leftovers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really happy to invite us, so that was nice. But
it was a very
because in the beginning we were in villages where they still had some stores and sometimes even a restaurant sort of for the other village for the people in the village.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a while we were just really, really remote, and we really didn't know that there was no other restaurants or shops.
Very remote.
Yeah.
Okay. And is this where you had your accident, Nina?
No, my accident was in Cambodia. I had two more accidents. One in Vietnam. Yeah. One in Vietnam, with breakfast, I spilled boiling water on my pants. And I had a real bad burn on my leg.
Yeah.
And that's we couldn't cycle for 2 or 3 weeks because of it. I had to clean it and keep it
to make sure it didn't get infected, because it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
So we stayed more with near the big cities. So if anything would go wrong, we'd go straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
And we were traveling in a different way because we were using the buses to get around. So we put the bikes in the buses.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a hassle, but it will. If you travel in that fashion, you will always go to the more touristy places or the bigger cities. So
that was Vietnam for us. And then in Cambodia, I fell off the bike, and that was close to the border of Thailand.
Okay.
And that was the moment that we decided, okay, we need a break of the bike, because I didn't think I could cycle because I had some problems with my left hand. So we decided to hike. Change it up, and we wanted to hike, so decided to go to Japan.
And you left your bikes in Bangkok?
Yes, we left the bikes in Bangkok and some warm weather clothes, or
so the people
cold weather clothes we could leave there as well.
So the people we met up at the start of the trip in Southeast Asia, and we went, they helped us out. So they came and collect us from the bus station also with the bikes, because she was injured, and me with the bags and the 2 bikes. So it was very nice of them, and it felt a bit like we had like a safety net there, because these people were just so easygoing, friendly, and helpful. We really appreciate them a lot, and we could leave the bikes there. And we were lucky enough that I had a friend who is a pilot. He could bring our hiking stuff to Bangkok, and we could have because we didn't bring the backpacks, but he could bring them with him, and we met up in Bangkok, and from there we started planning to do the hike in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wasn't going to touch on it, but as you mentioned it, Japan was the last place before Australia.
Yes.
So just very quickly, what was your plan for hiking Japan? Was it like different trails? Were you walking from one end to the other? What was your plan?
So Japan has a lot of long distance trails. So we just decided on choose one.
Okay.
And we knew we wanted to go to, or we flew to Tokyo. We wanted to go to, Kyoto and Osaka. So, and we really wanted to be more in nature, where in Southeast Asia there was just a lot of life, people everywhere, and we needed a sort of more relaxed and more silent nights where we just can sleep through the night for once, because in Southeast Asia they like to party. So we chose a route that was going through the mountains, mostly through nature, and then between Tokyo and Osaka. So it was a 1,000 kilometer hike, and we didn't need to check other trails.
And it's the Tokai Shizen Hodo, which is like the Tokai Nature Trail, it's called. And it goes like the maximum stretch that you go without going to a village is like 4 days. So it was very easy for planning, and you don't have to buy like the dehydrated stuff and everything. You can just buy every time you go to the convenience stores or the supermarket.
Yeah. I have to say that Japan is really easy with a lot of hiker meals in the stores.
Yes.
Not really hiker meals, but it is really.
They have freeze-dried meals just in the store where you can buy, and like emergency rice where you just add warm water or hot water.
So that was really nice.
Very easy.
Really easy.
very easy country. They've got everything in vending machines. There's always options available. It's just a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like in the most remote places in the mountains, like next to there's a beautiful temple, and then there's also a vending machine there.
Yeah. I remember it well. Okay, so now you switched over to hiking, but you're now in Australia. So, any future plans for Australia or afterwards?
So we are now at the last week. This was the first week in Australia, and we stayed just with the family, did some trips, but not a lot. It was just a week of being with the family. But today we are going for a few days by car through the country with the backpacks in the back, so we can hike. We are gonna camp and explore the island a bit.
Yeah.
For a week. Yeah.
Okay, and after Australia?
After Australia, we are flying back to Bangkok because our bikes are there, and we decided to go home.
Oh.
We didn't really think that we would,
but
we decided that it's enough. That it has been 2 years, and in total we have
been on the road for 16 months.
16 months.
Cycled like 13,000 k, walked over 1,000 k. We just feel like we have grown as people, as persons, as a whole, and the trip has given us so much and a lot more than we hoped for. But now we have some goals which we can really just accomplish back home. And after being on the road for so long and living quite an adventurous life, you want the other side of the spectrum. So we are getting a little bit more comfort and stability and routine. So that's like something we're really looking forward to be honest. Yeah. And we really want to have an adventurous life still, but I
think we can also say that at home there lies a new adventure, but it is home. But new adventure is like trying to build a life where we can have freedom. Yeah. And our idea is to live in a yurt.
Okay.
And that is our new goal, and I think that is a big adventure in its own.
Yeah.
So.
And that will be like in the Dutch countryside, I guess.
Yeah. So the idea was already laying there before we went on this travel. Yeah. And my parents were really keen on going out of the city as well. We are all city people. When we were on the travels, they found a house with a big piece of land as well. Mm-hmm. So the idea is to place the yurt on their land and and live there. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. That's a cool.
Yes,
it's a cool aim. Yeah,
big change. I mean, we don't know how it is to live on the countryside and get out of the city. So I think the start is go there, feel how it is. Do we really, really want to? And if we want to, then we are gonna build the yurt there.
Yeah, work, save up, and then build the yurt. And also that gives us a lot of financial freedom to do what we really want. So we don't have a mortgage or have to be stuck in the same place or the same job. And we can still do like more traveling, which we want to do. There's so, like you said as well, there's like so much to see and to explore, so much to do.
The never-ending list.
Yeah, let's just get longer and longer.
Yeah. No one completes it, so there's always something.
Yeah. So that will give us the time and the money, hopefully, to live a more life where we have control of our own life, because we have like that financial freedom. So that's something we hope to accomplish.
And for people listening now who wants to do a trip like yours, like biking specifically, any last tips that you would give?
I would look at what you want to do is like a very long trip. Then it's better to get like a touring bike. It's a shorter trip. You can go on a racing bike or a gravel bike, which a gravel bike you can also do. But just make sure like what do you want to do, what do you need, and plan for that.
I think in these kinds of travel, the biggest thing to adjust to is at home we always plan everything and we really know what is going to happen in the next months and years. Mm-hmm. Where on your travels you have to break loose to that feeling that you need to plan everything, because plans will sort of take the experience away from what you can experience if you just don't have a plan and say yes, and less planning, just let everything just come in your way.
And I think just go
with the flow.
And just go and just go and do it, and don't be scared, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but there's always a lot of people that will help you, or you always find a way anywhere in the world. Like everything will work out in a way. Even if you get like stranded somewhere, there's always people everywhere that are willing to help, and the world is overall a very kind place, and the people are very, very helpful and nice. And like sometimes we just look at the news and everything could be a bit negative. You have a negative view of the world, but if you go out and explore, like 99% of the people or even more are good and kind. So just go and do it.
And before we get to social media and websites, a quick question: where did you meet Lawrence? I can't remember.
It was in Laos.
Oh, okay.
We were on the slow boat from Thailand to
Luang Prabang.
Luang Prabang.
Yeah.
So we met there.
And he was with this group of Dutch people, and they all met on the boat, and we started talking as well. And then we, in Luang Prabang, we were a bit of a clique. So we also went to see a waterfall. It was like the 30K ride, and it was actually Lawrence who said like, "Oh, let's do it your way. Let's get on the bike and let's rent some bikes and go." And we were like, "No, we just want to take a rest off the bike." But then, it was very nice. We just went on the bike to the waterfall, and in those couple of days that we were there, we were all together. And we also went to Nong Kiao, which is a little bit further into the land of Laos. A very beautiful place. And we actually had COVID there, so we didn't see each other that much. But Lawrence came around and got us some apples and stuff and some food to make sure that we were okay.
But it was nice to see how everyone was on the bike and how it was for them to experience a day on the bike in other countries. It was really fun.
That's interesting.
We've always stayed in touch through WhatsApp. Like there's the Slow Boat Groups app, which is actually quite active. Still, some of the people have done their travelings. They're already back home now, and a couple of us are still traveling. And people are already making different plans, and very nice people. So I hope to catch up with them when we go back home. And for Lawrence, we don't know when we're gonna see him again, because I think he's gonna go to Hong Kong.
He's in Hong Kong, I think. So
okay.
And where can people find information about your trip, social media and website?
So we have an Instagram, and it's called Traveling by Paddling, both with double L, where you can see mostly in the stories all the countries we have been to, and also a couple of just photos in the. And then the website is travelingbypaddling.com.
I thought you
said. And we have a website where we have like a blog, and I think that's more. We've written down everything in English, so we have some photos on there. We have to say we haven't been very active on it lately.
Because in the beginning we had a tablet with us on the bike, but when we started hiking, we left the tablet in Bangkok, so it's not that easy to work on it on an iPhone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'll put the links in the show notes so people can click on that and get access to you guys.
We have Polar Steps. As well.
You do?
I don't know if you know it. Yeah,
I'm on there.
And it's also Traveling by Paddling. It's under my name, Nina Kaptein, but it is the travel is called Traveling by Paddling as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll grab that.
And I think that's actually the best application for our travels, because you have unlimited photos and unlimited space you can write, and we show you on the globe, which actually the globe we have used as well to integrate into our website.
Yeah, I didn't really keep up with it, Polar Steps, but my girlfriend did religiously, so she has that for our trip. But yeah, you're right. I think it includes everything: the map, the steps, the blog, the photos. It's a great app. I just need to get into it a bit more.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to finish the episode with some quickfire travel questions. So these are going to be some of your favourite things that you've seen on your travels, not just this one, but maybe previously as well. And maybe we can do it between you. So you can have one each and then agree on one option. So the first one is... Hey, just a quick one. I just want to say there are many ways to support this podcast. You can buy me a coffee and help support the podcast with $5. Or you can go to my merch store with the affiliate link with TeePublic, where there's plenty of merch available to buy, such as t-shirts, jumpers, hoodies, and also some children's clothing. Thirdly, which is free, you can also rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or Good Pods. Also, you can find me on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Simply just search for Winging It Travel Podcast, and you'll find me displaying all my social media content for travelling, podcast, and other stuff. Thank you. It's travel question time. 3 favourite countries together that you've travelled to. So maybe one each and then one combined.
Oh, okay. I think it's going to be the same. It's like
okay.
Turkey.
Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
And Japan.
That's a great 3. Okay. Which 3 countries have you not travelled to that you'd love to travel to next?
So I think
definitely Nepal.
Yeah, Nepal is really high on our list, and New Zealand, but it's a bit far, and I think it will be later on.
And Iceland.
That's a good 3. New Zealand's really close. You just go there now.
Yeah,
it's over the water.
We don't really have the time, but
Yeah.
In the future we'll definitely come back as well to come here and explore. And also, I think we want to do it more in summertime, so we can really do the hikes.
Yeah, I get that.
And now it's going to be a bit chilly.
3 international foods or cuisines that are your favourite?
Definitely the Thai kitchen.
Yeah.
I like Italian food. It's just really good.
And we love the Turkish food as well. And they have these lokantasis. You can, it's just really, everything is tasty and really cheap. So, yeah.
Okay. And what about a favourite, just one here, favourite walk or hike trail?
We have to say, this was the first hike for me. So
okay.
So
oh, wow.
So straight into the long distance one. For me, I didn't really think it was for me hiking, but I really enjoyed being out in nature. So I can only say one because I've only experienced one.
Yeah.
Okay, then I really like the one in Germany. It's called Westberg. It goes through the Black Forest. It's a really beautiful one, and I loved it. I did it with my mom. It was nice. Yeah.
And if you both can pick one each here for a city to sit and drink coffee and watch the world go by, where are you going to sit?
I would say Istanbul.
Yes, we love Istanbul.
Yeah, great place. Good coffee there as well. Of course, Turkish coffee.
Yeah.
Well, we say we really like the Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah.
But in the city, Istanbul.
Yeah, Istanbul. Got it. Okay. And what about a landmark? Can be nature or man-made?
It was very beautiful. Tuzgulu, the salt lake in Turkey, is very nice. I think it's just a smaller version of the Bolivia one, but it was very beautiful.
We were there with the sunsets, so it was all the colors were changing all the time around us, like in the air, but also on the ground. So it was really, really beautiful.
And what about, let's go with a country that you've not lived in before, where you'd live for a year?
Japan.
You lived in Japan? Okay.
Yes, I think we both said it when we arrived there, that was just a country where we would see ourselves live. Do you have a different one?
No,
you would say Tasmania, I think.
Live in Australia. I can live in Australia. Yeah. But also in Thailand, we said we could start a business, like an outdoor camping kind of community there.
The only thing is that in Thailand, the moist, the hotness, I wouldn't live there for a whole year, I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we flew from Nepal to Bangkok for one night because we had to connect a flight to Taiwan. When we landed, the humidity was like 80%, and it just hit me. I was sweating like instantly. I was like, what is this? I haven't been there for a while, but that was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question is, if you were to give some people maybe 2 or 3 sentences each as to why you should travel and maybe quit your job and go for a long trip, why should they go?
It will help you grow as a person. It will help you get a more positive outlook to the world. And it's just an overall great experience. You will feel very happy about yourself, and just give you a more positive view, and it helps you to grow personally and respect. I think it also makes you be a lot more grateful for what we have, and even appreciate the small things. you don't have to travel in the way we do, but for me, even now, like things like running water and hot water are things that I'm grateful for, because it just everything in everyday life, you just take it for granted. But if you don't have those comforts or there are things, then you really think, okay, well, we really have it good. And if you travel, you also see that in other countries it's not the same. So be a little bit more. You'll be more grateful for that.
You also see all these different kinds of cultures. You see different ways of living, and you can decide for yourself how you would like to fill your life, and maybe make small and big changes in your life that you see in other countries and think, hey, wow, that is so nice. In the Netherlands, we are maybe a bit stuck in a way, and for us, I think we have found a lot of different small things we would like to take home.
Both, thanks for coming on to the podcast. It's been a great chat, and I've learned a lot from your travels, and it's been a really cool, inspiring chat. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much thank you so much for your time and having us.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to my Winging It Travel podcast episode today. You can find me on Instagram at James Hammond Travel or Winging It Travel Podcast. You can search for both. I release weekly clips of this podcast episode, as well as photos from the last 8 to 10 years of my travels. You can also follow me on TikTok, Facebook and Pinterest by searching Winging It Travel Podcast. I do release daily content to do with travel and the podcast throughout the week. Also check out my website, jameshammond.org. There's content about myself, my travels, and there's also a newsletter sign up as well as a contact form. Finally, please rate and review the podcast on Podchaser. This is my platform of choice. Alternatively, you can rate this on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts from. This really helps the podcast gain a bit of traction for the future in terms of guests and content. And I'm glad to see that you guys are listening out there, reviewing it and enjoying the content so far. Stay safe, stay humble, keep listening, keep travelling, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers, James.